This podcast comes to you from the Pixel Labs podcast studio. As the world of marketing evolves, so must brands when faced with new challenges. We help brands grow by identifying opportunities that have real results. Welcome to the Raising Brand Podcast.
Welcome back to Raising Brand, the podcast where we talk about all things marketing and marketing adjacent. I am Noah Lucy, and today I'm joined by our in-house producer, Tristan Bennett. Tristan, how are you?
I'm great, Noah. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. We're in for a fun conversation today.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about video marketing for apps like TikTok. Using TikTok as kind of our focus point, but we both do video production. We both went to college for it. That's our main jobs here at Pixel Labs. And you do some short films on the side as well, type of stuff.
Yep.
So that's always fun.
Yep.
And so we're going to talk about video marketing for TikTok and how that kind of can play into a business and your branding and stuff like that. So I guess just kind of right off the bat, I was thinking of some things with it I feel like a lot of people, when they think of video marketing, they think it has to be like top notch. Like you have to buy the cinema cameras.
Right.
You have to buy like all this fancy gear. And I don't think that's the case with apps like TikTok. Like, would you kind of agree with that?
I would 100% agree with that. I dabble with TikTok. I mostly post on Instagram Reels, which is like basically the same thing. But with that, I get comments or messages like, "Oh, what camera do you use?" It's just my phone. Like everyone's like super surprised or like taken aback, like, oh, like they just assume I'm using, like you said, like some sort of like professional thing, which I mean, it's not professional, I guess, because once you know how to use it, I guess you can make it sort of professional, but I think it's just about, the quality of the image that it produces is decent enough that you kind of can't tell the difference. And as long as you kind of know what you're doing with the tool, you can really make anything, quote unquote professional or cinema like. So yeah, you definitely don't need to go all out with budget or equipment. I mean, is it nice to? Sure. I mean, but it's almost sometimes not necessary. Like I have a camera and I could be going out and shooting all my content with a camera with my little Sony a6500. And I have done that before, but it's almost, an antithesis to the process for me, at least, because it's like, well, okay, now I have to go and offload all that footage. I have to go to a computer and edit it. Whereas, if it's on my phone, it's all on my phone. It's already there.
Exactly.
It just simplifies the process. And that's just one aspect of it. That's not even, that has nothing to do with even the marketing aspect of it. That's all just the production of it. That's kind of where I stand on at least the production, or like the quality of the image you're producing, at least, is just use your phone. And if you can, why not shoot it in 4K? I mean, that'll help at least with the quality a little bit, but even that's not necessary. So,
and I think that's what a lot of people, not to touch too much on like the whole like production side of things, but I think that is an important thing to mention when talking about like your video marketing, especially for social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram Reels, like Twitter, YouTube Shorts, whatever, is that our phones are expensive now. Like they're not like kind of like back in the day, like flip phones. Like, yeah, they were expensive still, but like I feel like we'd be talking like a couple hundred or something like that, like low hundreds, where now it's like an iPhone can go for like thousands or something like that, I believe. And it's like you wonder like, oh, why does that happen, or all that kind of stuff. And it's because one of the things that they really market from all their ads is that their cameras are becoming top of the line. That's what all the phones seem to also be like fighting each other on, is how intense can we make our cameras? Like you mentioned, you can put 4K on, I think, I don't know exactly, I guess, on Apple products, because like we both have Google phones, but like you can do 4K.
Yeah.
And that's something that back in the day you'd have to buy a really expensive camera for, but not anymore. It's in your pocket, which just then allows so much more versatility, and it's 100% a tool. Because that's what I think people forget, is that like, I always said this in college too, of like, I think anyone can do our job. Not everyone can do our job well. It's like everyone is a photographer. Not everyone is a good photographer.
Very true.
Because you have to learn. You have to go through that process. And I think everyone can use their phone for making videos, especially for their like social media platforms.
Right.
And you just have to experiment and try with it to just get better at it. And one of the things, even if you're not very good at it, that I believe it's still true, the apps reward you for doing stuff in app or like not having all the crazy production value behind it.
Yeah. There's that's exactly what I was going to touch on next is the optimization of TikTok or whatever kind of service you're posting on. That's a big part of the kind of marketing of it, because your content could be great. You could shoot on a red camera and do all these things, and it could be great, and your message can be great too. But if you, there's basically kind of these sort of unspoken rules or guidelines that you're kind of not forced to follow, but you're rewarded if you follow. So in a way, you're kind of supposed to. So different things like what you said, like using more features in app, posting at certain times. That's become a little bit less relevant, but it's sort of still a thing.
It's kind of nice because if you go on the back end of like TikTok, like I've done this for kind of my videos and stuff, is that you can see when your audience, like your followers, are like at their peak on TikTok. Like, so it'll tell you like, oh, most of your followers are at the like 12 o'clock hour, they're on TikTok the most. The downside is if you look in those analytics, which is where, again, the business side comes in for sure, is that most videos that do well aren't really coming from your followers exactly. They come from the For You page, which we can talk about in a second too, type of thing. You can finish your point if there's any more to add kind of on the whole time and stuff like that. Because that's always a relevant point. I just thought of that and I was like,
that's a great point. We'll touch on that. There's just different, like even things like adding closed captions in the app. I'm trying to think, engaging with your content with the people who comment, sparking engagement through, calls to action. There's different things that you can do and pick up along the way that aren't necessarily, aren't going to help you with the content itself, but it'll help you with promoting the content, or at least kind of optimizing it, getting more views. It's kind of like SEO, but for like TikTok in a way, is kind of how I think of it sometimes, because there's certain things you do that will help things trend in the app, get it on the For You page, different things like that, get more views on it. And then all that sort of correlates to more traction, more views, more engagement, and maybe even more followers. But like, I think we can kind of touch on that next. Like you said, following and having followers is becoming somewhat less of an important metric, at least in terms of TikTok, especially. That's like
similar with like
where
views.
It started. Yeah.
Like followers and views are kind of like falling back a little bit. People are starting to realize that they're not super concrete ways to measure your success.
Yeah. And especially with TikTok, because the way TikTok operates is the For You page. It's you're seeing potentially anyone's video. It could be someone you follow, or it could be some random person that you've never seen on the app before, but the algorithm decided, oh, you might like this. So you see these people blowing up on TikTok, or appearing to blow up on TikTok, getting hundreds of thousands of, if not millions of subscribers or followers, but then their view count is relatively low because maybe this video didn't get pushed to all their followers, or the fact that you have to kind of switch over to a separate page to view followed content. It's a little bit anecdotal, but I personally am very rarely on that. Sometimes I'll go on there if I'm like, oh, I haven't seen videos from this person in a while. I wonder if I go over to my follow page, if I'll see that. But for the most part, when I go on TikTok, my goal is to see and engage with content that I guess is kind of specifically tailored to my liking. And I guess I've always thought the For You page kind of does that well. And sometimes it's people I follow and see, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. I saw their video, but a lot of times it's not. It's random people that are like, oh, I'll follow you now, but chances are I might not see any of your other videos again unless they kind of fit that niche that's 100%. On my page. So,
and that's what I remember when the app first came out. Like when I was talking to people, we didn't follow each other for specifically that reason. Is that it seemed like for when it first started being a thing of if you followed someone, it was like, cool, now you go use the following page to see their content. We're not going to show it to you anymore. Now they've kind of gotten better about that. Like I follow people and I'll see their big videos pop up, or like every once in a while. I think it kind of like the whole like your niche, because like the For You page for TikTok is super just based around like your niches, or like whatever videos you happen to stop on the most. And so like if that person like say it's like a camera review type of thing, if like you've been watching a lot of camera review videos, you're probably going to see someone that you follow just because if they also make that content.
Yeah.
But then the issue that I also see with that as well is, and why you kind of say like the For You page seems like better in a way because like it's tailored to you.
Yeah.
You don't have control over what people are creating. Like I remember following people that used to be like I like video games type of stuff. So I remember following people that were making video game content. And then all of a sudden, not that this is bad content, it's just not what I was engaging in. This person I was following started making like just motivational type stuff. Like, hey, like have a good day, like just keep up the good work and like da-da-da-da. Which nothing wrong with that. It's positive. It's good to see. But like it wasn't why I followed them.
Exactly.
Like I wasn't looking for that kind of stuff. So it's like, okay, yeah, like I'm glad this isn't on my For You page. Like I don't need this.
Yeah.
Like I wanted the video game stuff that person was posting or whatever. It's like, I don't need this kind of like 10 seconds of like, hey, like everything's gonna be okay. And then that's it. I'm like, okay.
They must have had a change of heart, or maybe figured this sort of content is better suited for them, or maybe they kind of were tackling some sort of trend. I've seen that a lot. Yeah, there's different sort of
trend-based.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing. Yeah, that's great with TikTok. Great, or maybe I don't know. You can have a whatever kind of opinion on it, but it's a thing. It is the trending sort of nature of it because it's ever changing. I mean, there's trends that last anywhere from a day to a week to who knows how long.
Yeah, right.
And that's another big element that you can utilize in your marketing is to capitalize on the trends. Ideally before they hit their peak, or even if like you could potentially start them. That's the very difficult part, though, because you never know what's going to trend. But getting onto trends early is great because it's kind of like becomes like a big inside joke with everyone who does the trend, I guess, is how I think of it. I'm trying to think if I can think of any ones I've seen recently, but I mean, dances were a big thing. It's like, there's this person doing a take on this dance. Obviously, I don't engage with that content as much because it's just not my interest and not in my niche. But that was when kind of TikTok was first becoming a big thing. It was like the dancing trends, like, there's this new dance that this person did to a song or this sort of thing. And now, at least in my sphere of TikTok, it's all meme trends. So I know for a while recently there was one, I think it was like Wheel of Fortune. It was like a something to do with the Wheel of Fortune game, and there was like a meme, and each one would be different. And it was like, oh, solve the puzzle, and then it would be this joke, or the other one would be this joke, and it was kind of like flooding your page. And that was a trend for a while. Now I don't see any of those videos, or maybe every once in a while I'll see one that kind of like attempts to bring the trend back, but in kind of a even more ironic way. It's hard to speak too much authority on this subject because my For You page is tailored to me, and all the trends
it's very niche. Yeah, it's very.
I mean, not like so like niche that no one sees it, but it's like I can't expect that anyone else has ever seen videos that I go up to and talk to. Like I can't expect that they might have seen these because it's become so intuitive to what you like or what you engage with that I think we've even had talks here when we talk about like Instagram Reels, like the different kind of content that we get shared to us. And someone will be like, oh, I get this. And I'll be, well, I've never seen a video like that at all. Like that's a thing that's popular on this app. Whereas I'll get very specific artistic sort of videos, like or like photography or something like that. And other people will be like, oh, I get comedy videos. Like
I get the dogs, or I get the same like stand-up comedian that puts his clips on every single like platform. I think I've seen the same like. I think it's like Theo Vaughn or whatever his name is. I've seen him like on every single platform, which is smart. But I think kind of going back to the trend thing, I think that can work really well for your video marketing, especially if you're not using TikTok as a big like investment type of thing. Like because there's always like the sponsored kind of videos, and there's always the kind of like ways you can kind of like that you can have an ad almost on TikTok or something like that. And like we were talking about, like, it's good to hop on trends and stuff like that. I think that lends itself really well because what people don't want to see on TikTok, what people don't want to see on any sort of an entertainment app, as we've all learned through Netflix and streaming services are commercials.
Right.
Like, you don't want to be like told to go buy this product. You don't want to be told that my service is better than this guy's service because da 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 da. But TikTok, I've noticed, kind of offers that way to almost trick viewers.
Yeah.
Trick very loosely, not legitimately trick.
Yeah, no.
But like, I've scrolled onto videos that I didn't even know were promoting something until like halfway through the video, and the video is 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So I just gave it half of the video's retention rate. And then I found out it was for a product. And I'm like, oh, and I'm like, that's clever, because they were doing a dance. And then it like, say it's a transition dance where like you do a little something and then like you jump, and when you land, you're in like a new outfit, and then that's when it pops up of buy this merch or like buy this or like come to Target or something like that, which I think is super, super useful for like the whole video marketing thing, because like we talked about, it's easy to do. You can do it simply on your phone. You don't have to worry about, it might have to be pre-recorded if you're going through the whole sponsor route and like actually having it be an ad.
Yeah.
But like you can still record it on your phone as if it feels natural. That way the viewer thinks it's just another video on their feed, and hopefully that fits a demographic of people that maybe if they do receive a lot of dancing videos, then you're going to blend right in, and then they might even like reach out or follow that page, not even realizing they just followed an ad.
Yeah. I've noticed very similar to what you're talking about with ads, where like they sort of blend in with TikTok, and I think a big part of that is what I think we could talk about next is the call to action.
Yeah.
That's a big part in the last, I mean, I guess it's always probably been a big part, but I've heard about it more recently as I've, delved into, researching, what kind of makes TikTok tick. But call to action. And it's something I think that if you talk to just the average TikTok user, they might not even necessarily think about it, but almost every TikTok you watch that kind of is on the For You page that goes viral, that at least involves a person, talking to the camera, it starts off with that really catchy hook at the beginning. And I think we're so used to it now that we don't necessarily think about it like, oh, like that really drew me in, or why did that draw me in? But it's usually something real quick in that first like 2 seconds. And that really draws you in, like, oh my gosh, this crazy thing just happened. Like, obviously they're a little bit better than that, and I'm terrible at coming up with them. But I see that a lot. I see it a lot with, like true crime things, or like, oh my gosh, like I found this really cool product on Amazon, or different things like that. And that's a big part of, again, sort of optimizing your TikToks, or the videos you're posting, is you gotta hook them early, so that they stay and watch the whole thing, and maybe even watch it again. And the more of that you can get on your video, the more likely it is to trend higher and higher. And
yeah.
And
I think that's a great way to like establish a brand on the app. Like, if you're not going for just using it as an ad space, if you're like, oh, I want to take my like cleaning company, or I want to take my whatever business and actually have it be an established account, then like a simple engagement type of thing, like look and see what pops up on your For You page, like, or think about your demographic. If you're say you're a stay-at-home mom that's doing this like business type thing, if you're also seeing stay-at-home mom content, or like if you're seeing mom content or stuff like that, parenting content, it's like take what you see successfully and use that in your own and add your own twist to it type of thing. It's like like when you're talking about the Amazon thing, it's like I've seen so many videos of like that start with like, you will not believe what I found. And it's like, well, what'd you find? Did you find like a bone? Like, is there like a fossil in your backyard? Is this a product? And they're like, I found these cool ice cube trays in the shape of circles. And you're like, that's dumb. But like, I watched half of it because I want to know what the thing was. And if your business is like different shaped ice cube trays, then like that's a hook. And then I've noticed people, they get successful with it. They like, they state the initial, like the kind of like thing to make you go like, wait, what? Like that hook, and like the call to action, like and then sometimes I've seen people kind of on personal accounts say things that are like, you could like to have like some argumentative to them, but I've seen some businessy type accounts that like pose a question at the end or something. They're like, oh, like, what should we do next? Like, I've seen people do like the whole, if they make something like, oh, like I'm making a tree rug. It's like, what else do you want to see turned into a rug? And it's kind of like, what do I want to see turned into? And it's like comments, and like whatever comment gets and the people are like, will you really turn anything into a rug? It's like, I don't know, a turtle. It's like, I don't know, like this. Like, will you do it? And they do it. And then it's like, okay, well, now I kind of want to like buy one of these, or like I kind of want to be a part of at least that community and help spread their awareness to the people that might want to buy a custom rug.
Yeah. That's another thing. Yeah, you touched on that is good. Is getting that engagement, catering the content to warrant people wanting to comment. Like you said, whether it's a question, whether it's, you did something really impressive in the video that people want to praise you for it or something like that. Like, oh, wow, this is really funny. Or I've noticed, comments are a huge part of TikTok, especially because they're almost an entire realm of content in themselves, because people sometimes will purposefully comment a specific thing or follow a trending comment, like they'll comment something in order to get likes specifically on their comment.
Because on TikTok you can do the whole stitch thing, like you can or duet or something. So if someone's video went viral, like it has like 100,000 likes and stuff like that, and you duet that or you stitch it or something and give your own opinion or give your own reaction, you could then start sitting pretty with your engagement and stuff like that, because it might transfer over, it might not. That's the downside. Is that I've seen accounts like definitely they try something and then it's like, oh, nothing unfortunately came out of that.
Yeah.
But it's worth a shot. And it's cool that TikTok offers that kind of thing, so that if you see something, especially if you think it's like wrong, like in like the world of professions, like if some guy on his couch is giving legal advice and you're a lawyer, hop on that, because then it's like, actually all 100,000 of you that like this, if you're liking it because you think he's right, you're actually wrong, and here's why. And then you become the new lawyer TikToker.
I think you touched on something there that's I think I wanted to talk about as well, is being authentic on the app and not trying to go too far. I mean, there's a limit to a comfort zone, because sometimes you need to break out of it. But sometimes people can kind of tell when you're out of that zone. Yeah. And if you're not coming off as authentic, like if I were to go on TikTok and try to be some sort of dancing something. Yeah. If I was trying to do that under the realm of like, oh yes, I'm a professional dancer, like I know what I'm doing, I'm an authority on dance, like that's not going to work. Whereas if I were to go on there and be like, hey guys, I'm really bad at dancing, but I want to learn. Will you learn with me? I've actually seen accounts like that. Where
like the journeys, like fitness journeys or like dancing, like hobby journey type of thing of like, I'm bad at this, or like, oh, here's my starting point. I want to get better, or like I want this to occur. Like, so watch my videos to see if it happens.
Exactly. Authenticity is one of the biggest things I think that you can have on the app, because if you try to do something that's not authentic to you, I think people are going to tell. And also, I think personally for you, you're not going to get as much enjoyment out of it as you could be, and that leads to burnout and that sort of thing. So I think eventually, if you're consistent enough on the app, posting however many kind of recommended times, it kind of changes, but at least like once a day or a couple times a week, if you're consistent with that, if you're authentic, and if you optimize, certain things, and whether it's posting at a certain time, whether it's trying to engage your audience with how you structure your content, how you write that script or whatever you're saying. If you do a lot of those, I think if you're consistent enough, you will see some sort of growth, and hopefully that growth translates over to whatever business or idea or product you might be trying to market. So
100%. And I think just to kind of maybe like start kind of like wrapping all this up, like just kind of summarize most of our points, is that one, you don't have to have top-notch like technology.
Not at all.
Your phone just as well. If you're going to invest in anything, maybe invest in a little lavalier mic that can attach to your phone or something like that, depending on what kind of content you're making, because audio is very important.
Exactly.
And then like number 2 is the whole thing of hop on a trend. Get to know the app. Figure out what works, what doesn't work for your audiences, and then kind of build your brand around that. What's a trending like trend that you can tailor to your brand? And then obviously at third, authenticity. Like you got to be authentic with your audience, and you got to make sure that if you are a professional, you're not going to come across as kind of snotty about it. You're not a know-it-all. You're just there to help people who maybe don't know anything about it, because odds are that's why it's popping up on their page. They don't know anything about it.
Yep.
And then also it just helps you, with that credibility, like you mentioned. If you're not a professional dancer, don't call yourself a professional dancer.
Exactly. Yeah, I think you summed it up well, and I think One last piece of advice I would leave that I've come to know is just be kind on the app. I think be genuine. I know sometimes maybe other people use the opposite side of that to kind of engage and get more views or clickbait, that kind of thing.
From like a branding standpoint, like especially if you're like a business type thing, like you want to come across as more positive than like hot take kind of like, that's your hot takes are like intentionally goofy. But
like if someone comments, ideally something nice or respectful on your video, engage with them, respond back. If someone shoots you a message, try to respond back. I've seen that I've gotten some messages like that recently where that people are just like, oh, great video. And I just always try to reply. Or if they share something, like if they repost it or something like that, I always try to give it a like or like a thank you. It's the least, not least, but it's like, it's a very small thing that you could do that shows your audience like, oh, this person's actually pretty genuine and, you know, wants to actually engage with me as well as I'm engaging with their content. And I think that's just something small that can go potentially a long way. And it can help you in the end build up a community because like, oh, maybe you actually spark conversations with these people. And that only kind of further reinforces and builds up your market, your audience. So that'd be my last little piece of advice. So.
And then you kind of sparked something else. Like, this is like the most Midwest, like ending to a podcast. I know, keep talking. You can talk about community. And I think that's, when talking about TikTok and stuff like that, I think that's ultimately what a brand or business should go into it with. You're not going to probably if you make a lot of sales through apps like TikTok, that's fantastic. But I've seen a lot of people give the advice of don't use this as like a car salesman like app.
Yes,
don't just like expect to put out a good video and then your sales will increase. You build that community so that your name is just out there. That way to the people who maybe need to find a custom rug or custom ice trays or whatever we gave as examples will find you when they need to find you, or like that person will find you eventually and they'll trust you because you have this community behind you.
100%.
There you go.
A great way to wrap it up.
Cool. Thanks for joining me, Tristan. This is super fun to talk about.
I always like talking about this
social
stuff,
media.
So. I know it's fun. And it's, I hope listeners get at least one thing that they can kind of apply to whatever videos or content they're curating. So
100%. And if you want more Raisin Brand, check out more episodes on whatever platform you're listening on. We are on all the podcasting platforms as well as YouTube, where you can see the actual video of our conversations if that's more what you're into. Until then, I'm Noah Lucy. We're sitting down with Tristan Bennett, and this has been Raisin Brand.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Raising Brand podcast powered by Pixel Labs. Remember to subscribe to stay up to date on all things Raising Brand.